Now, shouldn't it be in types, not so much in terms of freedom to bear arms? It was about freedom to bear arms. And maybe a lot of people have had this discussion. This might be a Bear Arms 101. And I think it is. But I'm just going to bring it up because it's part of what I think. But the right to bear arms, it can't be just, it has to be a type, not a term. What is arms? A type of power. And what I mean by that is, like, when that was written in the context, it was written in the context of no matter what, back then, if the majority just came together, they could have easily, of a whole group, taken back the government, the right to defend themselves. Sure, it wouldn't have been an all-out disaster where the people protecting the White House had no arms. Like it could be like only a 1% chance. And it would be a little more even, but that the common person could still come together and take over for their freedom, the right to bear arms to protect themselves. But that was the type. But you only had certain types of weapons: the gun, and then the cannon. But now that weapons have variated so much, it's like, hey, might as well legalize the right to bear arms or guns. And this is probably an old thing, but I'm just bringing it up in my mind because it's simple. But they might as well allow to bear arms, even the liberals, because if that's all it is an arm, like let's say 100 years from now, we're still bearing machine guns. But that's it, just arms, not like nuclear weapons. So the laws that they're building now, if they were smart, is the difference between a gun and like a cannon. Because I could say, well, it's the difference between arms, 100 years if you have that, machine guns, and you can only get machine guns, but you can't get rifle cannons, nor the machines that could be so precise that they could kill literally 1,000 people coming over the edge with precision in less than 20 seconds. Does that make any sense? So even though they have the right to bear arms, it has to be not the word really arms, it has to be the type. In other words, the people have to still have the ability to still statistically have something so at ease they could basically still withstand the government still succeeding no matter what. And even though we're trying to distinguish between how to interpret the old type of freedom to new, it has to be you have to adjust it because, if I just said, okay, well, you can kind of have huger weapons, even if we have they're like literally like 20 times stronger than machine guns. But if the army has developed something that's like 1,000 times, it doesn't matter. We're so way down. It's like we just got bigger stones to throw at them, and they got just a lot more. Okay, I think you guys are getting my point. But if you take this more on a higher perspective of it, and I'm trying to think because I'm losing my train of thought here. But it's more like the illustration of it doesn't matter. If it's too much, like for instance, if it's like, well, we can't give them too much power no matter what, because like if we could develop in the future a bomb that could destroy like the Earth 10,000 times over, well then you can't justify. Well, let's give everyone a weapon that could still overcome the government. So instead of 10,000, it'll only be 10 times over. Well, that's stupid because then anyone could just do it. So then they'd have to draw the argument back. There has to be a balance between that before it gets to that point, which could happen really quick through a number of reasons. I'm not trying to get spooky out there, putting AI in there. But even if you left AI out, that's kind of the point of the future. the expansion of the difference between, but probably most of you already know that, between that and citizens and technology and stuff like that. I just wanted to throw that out. Sometimes I like to bring back new ideas and new thoughts while I'm thinking about them, but that's the struggle. I mean, eventually we have to get something more than just machine guns. You get what I'm saying? And eventually we're going to have to get bazookas. Does that make any sense? We just will, to keep up with something until it comes to a something that could destroy the world. And that's where the new argument will be. Well, what could destroy the world as to what couldn't? Well, technically guns could, so you could say, well, let's take away all guns. Geez, that won't help on the scale of anything, because then a guy in a supercomputer, not the hard, with just a punch a button, could control everyone with just the simplest of technologies. Does that make any sense? So it has to be a more of a balance to where it actually is where the normal people could still take over until a point where it could be like disasters to the world. If the client people are sure that we're beyond repair anyhow, well, that just doesn't make it any better. But I think we aren't beyond the point of repair. I think we can at least still do something better for our children.